Last night, he was just another prisoner, locked away forever. Today, every judge who sentenced him is dead. No signs of struggle. No escape plan. No explanation. The prison doors swung open on their own, and something walked out. But was it truly him, or something far worse? This city has forgotten its sins. Tonight it will remember, and by morning it will kneel. The prison cell was cold. Damp air clung to the walls, carrying the scent of rust and something rotten. A single bulb flickered above, casting shadows that moved when he blinked. His wrists ached from the metal cuffs, cutting into his skin like hungry teeth. He listened. Distant footsteps. A door creaking open. Then silence. The judge had smiled as he read the sentence. Life. No parole. No chance to see the world beyond these walls. But something was wrong. The air felt heavy, charged with something unseen. His breath came slow, measured. A whisper crawled through the darkness. Low. Indistinct. Not in his mind. Real. Something shifted in the corner of the cell. A shape. No. A presence. The bulb flickered again. And in that brief moment of light he saw a hand, reaching closer. Then, darkness. His breath caught in his throat. The air turned ice cold. That hand, pale, slender, unnatural, had been reaching for him. But now there was nothing. Only the thick, suffocating darkness pressing against his skin. He swallowed hard. Footsteps. Not outside. Inside the cell. Slow. Deliberate. Coming closer. His pulse thundered in his ears. He yanked at his cuffs, metal biting into his flesh. The footsteps stopped. Right in front of him. A breath, warm and rancid, brushed his face. Something whispered his name. His body stiffened. He wanted to scream, but his voice was gone. A cold hand slid over his shoulder. Fingernails, long and jagged, scraped against his skin. Then, a whisper, softer than wind. Tomorrow they all die. The bulb flickered back to life. The cell was empty. His chest heaved. The air was still, but something had changed. The cuffs on his wrists gone. His door open. And outside, the prison was silent. Too silent. He stepped forward. The world tilted. Something was wrong. He reached the hallway. Rows of cells stretched before him. Every door wide open. No guards. No prisoners. Just stillness. Then he saw it. The first body. A guard. Face twisted in horror. Neck bent at an impossible angle. Then another. A prisoner, eyes wide, mouth frozen mid-scream. More. And more. The air reeked of blood, and something far worse. Something unnatural. His knees wobbled. He staggered forward. And then, he saw them. The judges. All of them. Bodies slumped in the corridor, their robes soaked in red. Their eyes black. Lifeless. Mouths stretched open, as if they had tried to scream. A shiver crawled down his spine. They had sentenced him to die in this prison. But now, they were the ones who had perished. And he was free. Or was he? He stood frozen, his breath shallow, his heart hammering against his ribs. The judges lay before him, their blackened eyes staring into nothing. Something had done this. Something had freed him. But why? A cold wind curled through the hallway. It should not be possible. There were no windows. No doors open to the outside. Yet the air shifted, thick with whispers. He turned, slow, unwilling. The darkness at the end of the corridor. It moved. No. It pulsed. A shape slithered within it, something neither solid nor shadow. It knew him. He felt it. A pull deep in his bones. Not fear. Not dread. Recognition. The whispers grew louder. A language he did not understand. Yet it spoke to him. Called to him. Invited him forward. His feet moved before he could think. One step. Another. The shadows stretched toward him, long fingers of ink reaching. Cold brushed his skin. Something unseen curled around his throat, not squeezing, just holding. Testing. He should run. He should fight. But deep inside, a thought crawled into his mind. A thought that was not his own. "This is where you belong." His breath hitched. The walls trembled. A deep, guttural voice rumbled through the air. It was not a whisper now. It was laughter.
Low.
Mocking.
Hungry.
Then,
Pain.
a burning line seared across his chest. He staggered. Looked down.
Blood. His blood. Dripping.
Pooling at his feet. But the wound, it was not from a blade. The skin peeled, curling back like old paper, revealing something beneath. Not flesh, not bone. Something dark, something shifting, something alive. And the shadows around him, they knelt, as if greeting their king. A tremor ran through his body, not from pain, not from fear, from awakening. The darkness slithered beneath his skin, coiling like a serpent, waiting. It was part of him. Or had it always been? The laughter in the air grew louder. The prison walls groaned. Cracks spread across the floor like veins, pulsing with a sick, inky blackness. He raised a trembling hand. His fingertips dripped shadows. They curled, writhed, eager. Hungry. He felt it now. A force. A power. Something that had been buried deep within him, locked away. Until tonight. Until they had sentenced him. Until they had tried to erase him. His lips parted, breath slow, measured. The laughter faded, replaced by silence. Waiting. Watching. The bodies around him no longer felt like victims. They felt like offerings. A gift. From them. For him. His heartbeat slowed. His mind cleared. He understood. He had not escaped the prison. The prison had freed him. And outside, beyond these broken walls, beyond this ruin, the city waited, sleeping, unaware. His hand clenched into a fist. The shadows around him shuddered. It was time. He stepped forward. The ground beneath him cracked, tendrils of blackness slithering outward like roots sinking into the earth. The prison walls groaned, trembling as if in fear. Chains rattled in empty cells. Somewhere, a distant bell tolled, slow, mournful, as though mourning the world itself. The air smelled of iron, of blood, of something ancient and restless. He inhaled deeply. Power surged through his veins, cold and electric, wrapping around his bones like armor. The city lay beyond these walls. Quiet, asleep, unaware of what had been set free. Unaware of him. He moved through the corridors, his footsteps soundless, swallowed by the crawling void at his feet. Bodies lined his path, twisted, lifeless, eyes frozen in silent horror. He did not stop. He did not look back. This was only the beginning. The prison gates loomed ahead, rusted iron bars, thick and unyielding. A barrier meant to keep monsters in, or to keep the world safe from them. He raised a hand. The shadows obeyed. A whisper of power, and the iron groaned, bent, shattered. The gates crumbled. Beyond them, the city stretched in quiet surrender. Streets bathed in pale moonlight. Windows dark, filled with sleeping souls. He stepped into the open air, the wind curling around him like a welcoming embrace. It was time. Time to remind them. Time to make them remember that some things should never be imprisoned. He walked into the city. The streets were empty, silent, unaware. The air carried a distant scent of rain, the kind that lingers before a storm. His shadow stretched unnaturally long, twisting, moving on its own. It slithered over the cobblestones, curling around lampposts, reaching toward windows. Inside the homes, people slept, breathing steady, unknowing. He stopped beneath a flickering streetlight. The bulb sputtered, dimmed, then died. One by one, other lights followed. Darkness crept through the streets, slow and deliberate. It was not an absence of light. It was something else. Something alive. He lifted his hand, watched the black tendrils coil around his fingers, pulsing, eager. His lips curled into something that was almost a smile. Tonight, they would remember. A distant dog howled, its cry sharp, fearful. Somewhere, a baby stirred in its crib, whimpering in its sleep. The city knew. Not consciously. Not yet. But something in its bones, something in its ancient heartbeat, recognized what had come. He took another step. The ground beneath him darkened, as if his presence drained the very color from the world. Ahead, a figure emerged from a side street.
A man.
A police officer. Hand resting on his holster, eyes wary, tired. Unaware of what he had just stumbled upon. The officer frowned. "Hey." His voice echoed too loudly in the hush of the night. "Who are you? What are you doing out here?" Silence answered. The officer's hand tightened around his radio. "You lost." Still, no response. The air between them felt wrong. Heavy. The officer exhaled, stepping closer. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple. He did not know why. Something inside him whispered, "Run." But he ignored it. He had a job to do. He reached for his radio. The moment his fingers touched it, the shadows moved.
Fast. Silent.
The blackness surged forward, curling up his legs, tightening around his arms. The officer gasped. His breath hitched. The radio fell from his fingers, clattering to the pavement. His eyes widened. Mouth opened in a scream that never came. The darkness swallowed him whole. A heartbeat later, nothing remained. Not a body. Not a sound. Only a uniform, crumpled on the ground. Empty. The city remained asleep, blissfully unaware.
For now.
He turned his gaze toward the skyline, where towers stretched into the night. A kingdom of glass and steel. Waiting. His fingers curled, and the shadows pulsed. Tonight, the city would remember. And by morning, it would kneel. The city stirred. Not in waking, but in fear. A deep, primal fear that slithered through its streets, curling beneath doorways, seeping into dreams. The wind howled, rattling windows, whispering secrets of something that should not be. Something that had returned. He stood atop a rooftop, overlooking the sleeping metropolis. Darkness pooled at his feet, shifting like liquid shadow, alive and restless. Below, streetlights flickered. Some died completely. Others pulsed, struggling against the inevitable. He inhaled, the air thick with the scent of stone, rain, and something older. The city had forgotten him. They had locked him away, buried him in cold iron, and whispered that justice had been served. But justice had never belonged to them. It belonged to him. And, tonight, they would remember. A distant siren wailed. Futile. Too late. The shadows stretched, consuming alleyways, licking at the edges of bright neon signs, dimming them one by one. Then, a pause. Stillness. He closed his eyes and released it. The darkness surged outward, a silent wave rippling through the city. Windows shattered. Glass rained onto the pavement, shimmering like fallen stars. Streetlights burst, sparks fizzling against the cold, wet ground. And then, a breath. A collective, unconscious inhale, as if every soul in the city had sensed the shift. Something had changed. Something had awakened. But he did not stay to watch. He had no need to. The city would wake with the dawn and find itself different.
Changed.
Marked. They would not know why their dreams had turned black. Why their hearts beat just a little faster in the dark. Why, for reasons they could not name, they would never feel safe again. They would not know his name. Not yet. But they would fear it. And, in the end, that was enough.